You know that feeling, right? That knot that ties itself in your stomach before a big meeting, or those butterflies that go wild when you're feeling overwhelmed? We tend to just write those off as, metaphors for being anxious. But what if they're actually way more than that?
Or hey, maybe you've had one of those days where you just feel on edge, and you absolutely cannot figure out why. You've done the deep breathing, you've skipped the coffee, but that hum of stress just won't go away. It is such a frustrating place to be.
Okay, let's really dig into this because this is the whole idea we're exploring today. Those feelings, your gut instinct or the feeling that something just doesn't sit right, they are not just in your head. The science is showing us they are real, physical signals coming directly from your gut.
So where are these signals coming from? Well, it's time to meet your second brain. And I promise this isn't some catchy slogan from a wellness blog. It is a very, very real part of your biology.
So, this second brain has a pretty official name, the enteric nervous system. Just picture this complex web of nerves lining your entire digestive tract, and it's in a constant 24/7 conversation with the brain in your head. They talk through this huge information highway called the vagus nerve. So it's not just digesting your lunch, it's helping run the entire show.
And here is a wild fact for you. About 90%, that is 90%, of your body's serotonin, the feel-good chemical, is made in your gut. Not your brain, your gut. Let that sink in. It just shows you how much power your digestive system has over your mood.
So when that communication line between your two brains gets a little staticky or distorted, how would you even know? What does it actually feel like? Well, let's get into 3 really common distress signals that might mean your anxiety is starting in your gut.
Okay, signal number 1. I want you to imagine your gut is like a busy factory. And one of its most important jobs is to manufacture all those crucial mood chemicals, especially serotonin. So what happens when the factory's production line starts to grind to a halt?
Well, a whole bunch of things that our modern lives could basically throw a wrench in the gears. Things like chronic stress, a diet packed with ultra-processed foods, eating at weird times, alcohol, not getting enough sleep. All of these things can mess with the community of good bacteria that are supposed to be running the factory. And when they're not happy, serotonin production can drop, leaving you feeling way more sensitive to stress.
Now, the second signal can be a little more sneaky. Have you ever noticed that when your stomach feels kind of off or bloated, your thinking also gets foggy? Well, that is not a coincidence. This is all about the physical lining of your gut and how it's connected to your mental clarity.
You see, when that gut lining gets irritated, it can send these little inflammatory signals straight up to the brain. And the brain's reaction isn't psychological, it's protective. It can lead to that classic brain fog, mental fatigue, or just feeling like you can't focus. It's really just your body's alarm system telling you something's not quite right downstairs.
And finally, our third sign is this incredibly frustrating feedback loop. We know that stress has a direct physical effect on our digestion. But what's really fascinating is that your digestion can either crank up the volume on that stress or it can help turn it down.
Here's exactly how that works. The stress hormone cortisol literally causes the muscles in your gut to tighten up, creating that tense feeling. But a calm and balanced gut can act like a buffer, helping to regulate your body's entire stress response. So the bottom line is, your gut health can either keep you trapped in a cycle of stress, or it can be the key to breaking you out of it. Okay, so we've talked a lot about the problem. What can we actually do about it? Well, the great news is that supporting this gut-brain connection doesn't have to be super complicated. In fact, it really boils down to a pretty simple 2-step system. And the best way to think about this is like you're upgrading a computer. You need both the software, which is the good bacteria, and you need the hardware. That's the physical gut environment where those bacteria have to live. You really can't have one without the other.
So, step 1 is all about the software. This just means focusing on repopulating your gut with all the helpful kinds of bacteria that might have gotten cleared out over time. We're basically getting the expert workers back onto the factory floor.
This is where things like probiotics come in, which you can find in fermented foods or supplements. They help bring back those supportive colonies. And the real key here isn't trying to be perfect, it's just being consistent. It's about giving those new workers a reason to stick around and get that serotonin factory humming again. But like we said, even the best workers in the world can't do their job in a rundown factory, right? So step 2 is all about the hardware, supporting the physical structure of the gut itself and giving those good bacteria the fuel they need. So what that means is a few things. First, giving the gut lining building blocks like collagen to keep it strong. Second, fueling the good bacteria with their absolute favorite food, prebiotic fiber. And third, maybe using some digestive enzymes to kind of reduce friction and just create a calmer digestive environment. It's all about making the gut a 5-star resort where good bacteria actually want to live.
So if you take just one thing away today, please let it be this. If you're feeling constantly frazzled or foggy, it doesn't automatically mean you have a problem with coping. It might just be a communication problem between your two brains.
And that really leaves us with one final question to just sit with. Instead of always trying to push through or silence those feelings of anxiety, maybe it's time to just listen a little more closely. What is your second brain trying to tell you?